Welcome to the Temperate Times Podcast. It is me, your host, JC, and I'm recording this at 9 p.m. Because I forgot to record a podcast episode, and this is the first podcast episode in a while that was a long length. Actually, I don't know how long this will be, considering I'm rethinking the podcast and possibly shortening, considering the fact that the last episode was about 15 minutes long, and it was an interview with local rapper Elysium the Kid, who will be starring in an episode of the Temperate Times show soon. So we have some news for the Temperate Times podcast. So Logan is no longer a co-host. He is now working with me as a partnership for what he plans on doing as his clothing brand called SLD, also known as Sad Lonely Drivers. It is essentially a darker aesthetic instead of the minimalistic sort of theme of Temperate Times. So Logan, unfortunately, basically is resigning as a co-host or potential co-owner, though Austin, I believe, is still in that position, and I am looking for him to more so take more in place and really absorb that co-owner sort of type essence of Temperate Times, considering we haven't seen much of him and he's going through some personal stuff, so that's why I have him on hiatus for such. He hasn't been on a Temperate Times video except for one, from what I completely remember. But that's enough of news. But unfortunately, yes, we will be recording this alone. It's just me, but I just want to talk about this interesting topic that I've been thinking about for a while, and it was just about how, for some reason, modern generations have been raising their children so terribly, and this is a topic that would be interesting to talk about with somebody in the means of whether it be a debate or extra information. But like I said, this is once at 9 p.m. and also the co-host Austin is currently busy with personal things, so he can't really occupy me here at my place and record in the studio, nor can he really do voice calls and record episodes. And Logan no longer records videos, so yeah, this will be just a lone podcast episode. That we haven't seen one of these since the start of season 2, where I talked about news and such like that. But yeah, so modern generations have been raising their kids quite poorly. I had been seeing a lot of teenagers recently start smoking and vaping, which I know probably people have been doing this for a while. I mean, you see Grease and all that. What, isn't that like a high school thing? I have no idea. I don't remember. Last time I saw that movie was probably like 3 years ago. But smoking has been a huge thing for a while, but I feel like it's getting odd because teenagers don't look as old as they do now. And the amount of like smoking that they do, and the fact that it's not like a regular, but it's like starting to become a clique type thing. But the vaping and even smoking weed, that it's all becoming weird now. It's not what is cool anymore. It's sort of just like, oh yeah, I smoke weed and all that. So yeah, I just sort of thought to myself, how they might be raised, and how that connects to their behavior, like outside their home. So when they go home, they're probably like nice kids because kids being kids, and then going outside being all sketchy. I mean, back in Nova Scotia, when I used to live there, we would call smokers, like the kids who smoked, skitters, who would hang out by. Obviously, there was always a hangout spot. So back in Nova Scotia, there were the rocks. Here in SA, it's the slab, right? So smokers would chill out there. But yeah, smoking in high school is nothing foreign. It's not like it's a modern thing. But it's just the decline in maturity that, like I said, with children looking younger and them acting so much younger, that it really doesn't connect well with them smoking, because it's not really going to work. Or I'm just saying smoking, but generally saying vaping and weed and all that falls into the same category. That it's been seen that children are raised very lightly and don't really mature properly until the end of high school. So like, I don't know if anybody has seen, or if it's just a coincidence that it's only at the schools that I go to, but the kids that are in like grade 9 like the kids in grade 9, I swear, they look like what the kids in grade like 6 looked like when I was in grade 3. Every year, children are not looking any different. It's so weird. It is. And like said, the maturity, like they still play games like Fortnite, my guy. Like, come on. Like, games that I used to play, I played Call of Duty at like 5 years old. I don't play video games anymore. I'm an entrepreneur. I focus on roasting coffee. I have a girlfriend, and like I'm focusing on school and all that. Like, I'm not saying that I'm a mature person, but the fact that children do like childlike, well, not children, but teenagers still do childlike things in high school doesn't match well with the fact that they go out and fucking dark alleys and smoke cigarettes or all that. It's just kind of a weird combo. But yeah, it may also include the lack of support that they have at home. So children these days are provided too much support, in my opinion. Like, when they're at home, their parents are usually like, "Oh yeah, you do this, you can do whatever you want." Like I've been friends with a few people that their parents are just like chill with whatever they do, or the child will be the one bossing their parent around. And it's just weird. It is foreign to me. When it was happening, I would just sit there and be like, yo, what? I'm like, straight up, you need to learn how to parent more, man. Like, why is your child telling you what to do? I even had to have a heart-to-heart conversation with my, like, a captain in the military at the unit that my parents were working at. I had a heart-to-heart talk with him because his daughter acted like she was his mother, which didn't make any sense. But then again, the dude acted like a child, so it didn't really go well. Yeah, like this makes children way more free than they should be. Like, I understand Canada is supposed to be free, but holy Christ, are children way too free that they just do whatever they want. They don't really learn their lesson because the parents are like backing them up. And they're always like, no, they're not punishing them. It's terrible. Like, whenever I do something bad, like, even if it's minor, and we're not going to talk about what I have done, unless we talk about back when I had anger issues, like, however long ago, like 8 years ago. Can't really say I'm an angel here, but, I've done stupid things. I've uh, made some mistakes, and I understand that I deserved the punishment. And I would learn from that punishment because I understood I had consequences for my actions, though some children, most of them, if they do something bad, they don't care. Like I said, smoking and all this is a bad thing. It's bad, and the parents don't really care, or at least they can get away with it, Like, they can get away with it way easier than they should be. Like, even if my parents allowed me to get high or whatever, they would prefer it to be in their presence, if anything, so they are able to at least supervise me. Or even get drunk in that matter, really. Getting drunk is, in my opinion, just as bad as getting high. But, like, smoking cigarettes, I would not do, man. I would not do ever because it's so unhealthy, and vaping as well. The only difference is vaping just kind of tastes better and it's less harmful, but it still is harmful. But yeah, I wouldn't do bad things. And expect myself to get away with it easily. I wouldn't just be like doing a bad thing and then being like, oh yeah, I can do this and not expect to get caught, because that's how children get caught so easily now, like especially with the authorities. And this is why kids commit so many crimes, because they think that they can do whatever they want, but if they had some discipline, they would less have in the mind of committing crimes and not be such bad children. But yeah, like, I don't know if this is neglect. I mean, it's not neglect in a way, but in some sense, it's neglecting the fact that your children could be more responsible and mature easier. So it's sort of neglect in disguise. It's like subtle neglect. It's like, oh, it's not. It's, in quotations. It's not neglect. I care about my child. No, I don't know if you care about, well, you may care about your child, but you care about them too much that you don't care about them, Like, it's like, I wouldn't say two negatives make a positive, but it's sort of in that way. Or, well, no, it's more of a negative and a positive make a negative, because the positive is, oh, you care about your child, but the negative is the fact that your child is doing bad things. And the negative that results from this is your child isn't mature enough. That's what's happening. And that's what I'm worried about, Like, you care about your child. If you really care about them that much, punish them for their actions, man. Give them consequences. That's how things work, man. You get what you deserve. It will catch up to them eventually. But, like, these children more feel that their parents don't care about anything they do, but still know that they have to hide it to some standpoints. So, like I was saying with hiding it so they don't get caught by authorities or whatever. Yeah, but they will do bad things and they will get caught. Like, they don't know, or, well, even having to hide it just clearly is bad. Like, doing bad things is already bad enough. But yeah, like, babying your children is essentially what I'm saying here. Like, you're babying your child and you're not letting them understand that, consequences for your fucking mistakes, man. Like, you need to make them understand how to be an adult and not think that there's going to be always somebody backing them up. Like, that's not going to apply. So, like, speaking of lack of maturity with all that, this can be fueled by other things such as, like, media. So, like, uh, media has always been an enemy of parents. In some way, even though media has also affected parents as well. Um, for a while, like you see Facebook. Oh, Facebook is gross. Holy Christ. Facebook is essentially propaganda in its own way. It's like making parents think different things, and it's like Facebook is the like how do I say this? It's like the Gen X or even millennial version of Instagram. And you would think, oh yeah, millennials use Instagram, but my mother is a millennial and she uses Facebook more. I don't know if it's the fact that she's a mom or what, but she uses Facebook way more. And TikTok is not helping because now TikTok is getting worse, and there's a lot of lies on there, and parents will fall for it way easier than children. For children, it's more about their influence. So like YouTube and all that, the people they watch, that's the decline in maturity, with all that like Coco Melon type stuff. And this has to do with like how parents will like put a phone in front of their child and be like, yeah, you just do this for the rest of the day, cry if you need food. I find that to be gross. I don't like that, and if I were to have a child, which I know is inevitable because I don't think I would like to live my life without having a child. But yeah, if I had a child, I wouldn't want it to sit in front of a TV for longer than an hour, especially if it was a toddler. Like, I would be chill with playing video games with it when it has the motor skills, but I'd rather try to teach it things before it gets to that level where if I don't teach it, it becomes stupid. Like I was taught how to read before I can even remember, and now look at me. Or that sounds a lot more that sounds a lot more ego filled than it should, but I was taught how to read. I was homeschooled for like while I was in preschool. I was one of the very few that was parented properly. I was raised more mature, and I think it was the fact that my mother was so insecure that like she was trying to make me, or I wouldn't say insecure, but she was so concerned, and it was her first child, right? She wouldn't want to mess it up, so she raised me to be really clean. So now I am germophobic, and I might not be organized, but I'm clean. I'm not organized because the whole little myth, smart people are disorganized. I think it is true. But yeah, like I'm clean, and I was raised to be clean. I was raised to be a perfect student. I don't know if it's the Asian in me, but I'm just kidding. Am I? But yeah, I was raised to be a perfect graded student, and I was raised to be perfectly, or at least well-mannered, which I happen to be, which kind of, and I would really say influenced my philosophy, which I want to talk about more on the podcast. My philosophy of considerism, which is essentially stoicism, but more focused on the consideration for yourself and others, and respect. So as I would essentially say, it's like branching off of stoicism, but that's a whole different topic for a whole different episode. But yeah, like I feel like I was raised much more organized, or properly. Like I felt like I was raised better than a lot of other people, and not in a bragging way. I just believe that children could have been raised better if they were actually focused on being responsible people, that, they weren't placed in front of a TV watching fucking kids shows, even playing like video games. If children don't get taken from video games, they may just stay there. And I don't know if my father was a product of this. I mean, my father is just as old as my mother, but my father was stuck to playing video games. And even when I was a baby, and just to say here, my parents had me when they were 17, my age. So, yeah, crazy. Well, 18 was when I was born, but 17 when I was like, conceived. I don't know the right word. When she was pregnant. Yeah, like, my father was still playing video games. He was obsessed with video games. He kind of neglected me, and he admits to it, and I understand, but he no longer does, and he has 2 daughters, and he doesn't neglect them anymore. I'm not too stuck on how he parents them, because he kind of does the whole sitting them in front of a screen type thing, but he equals it out. He parents them to be well-mannered, at least from what I know, and he makes sure they get that activity, that physical activity, but they do like to dip into that media where they sit them in front of a TV. I don't know if it's educational, but I've just seen it, and they've got tablets now, and if I can do the math correctly, they should be 9 and 8 years old, or well, turning 9 and 8, because I think it's one of my sister's birthdays, or past it at least. I'm not good with birthdays, but yeah, I just know that media isn't the best, and I believe that parents could try to steer away from media in some sense, and try to. I'm not trying to say be like my father in that way, because I don't even agree with a small amount of media, because video games are pretty chill and they can be educational, depending on what video games you play, and not like Fortnite. But and there's some TV shows that you can have children watch that are educational, but nowadays that is so rare. It is so rare to find TV shows that are actually educational. They're just ew. They are disgusting. They make no sense. They're just everywhere. And YouTube channels, like kids' YouTube channels, don't help prove that otherwise. I can just tell you that. So, and yeah, this media, especially video games, have caused lack of maturity in children. And this obviously doesn't have to do with the look in children, because the look in children is probably just what the parents consume and what the children consume, which I don't remember if that's in the script that I wrote for this, but that is an issue, that the children eat weirdly. But yeah, like, and this maturity thing also has to do with them not getting enough like social interaction, especially video games. They just sort of become like Reddit mods or like Discord mods, you get what I'm trying to talk about. They're just like obese, antisocial children, and I almost became one of those, if I'll be completely honest with you. I may have been raised well, but I kind of changed for a bit. I changed in a bad way. I gained a lot of weight because my mother was not feeding me the right amount of food, or well, too much. Saying not the right amount sounds like too little, but she was feeding me too much, and I was not getting much physical activity. I was playing too much video games, and I regretted that. And now I am I'm self-conscious about my body, and I think it's a good thing. I think that me being self-conscious about my body is keeping me from being unhealthy and obese. And this self-conscious activity does not, uh, keep me from being happy, because I'm happy. I'm really happy. I'm happy with my career opportunities. I'm happy with my hobbies that I do. I'm happy with the people that I am with, whether that be friendships, relationships. Recently I got out of a relationship. Well, that was like 2 months ago by now. And then I think that was more than 2 months. I think that was was that before my birthday or after my birthday? Sometime in like February, I got out of a relationship. And if you're in the Temperate Times Discord server, you would have heard, and you probably hate them a lot because that drama. But I'm now in a new relationship. I'm taking it slow with this person, and that just shows how if you put yourself out there and avoid media, especially media, and you avoid bullying, and of course, if you aren't the one bullying as well, if you be a better person, which kind of connects to my philosophy, but once again, topic for another day, you can progress a lot. Like the relationships that people get into, and this is a total off script topic because this is actually brilliant, but the relationships people get in, especially in high school, don't make any sense. The relationships that people get in, they are just weird. They make no sense. They it's either too much or too little. When high school students and even middle school students, when they get into relationships, it's usually like, oh yeah, having doing all the funky stuff. You know what I'm saying? You know, which they are way too young to do, and then they bully you if you're still a virgin. Which, buddy, you're 13. What? I will admit that I am still a virgin for a good fucking reason. And yeah, I get it, I'm 17, but I'm waiting till I get out of high school, or at least the last year of high school, to do something like that, because that's not the right age to do it at. To do it younger than that. I think that it's just weird. It's odd. Why are you doing that? You're not even mature enough. How do you produce the stuff in your body? You haven't went through puberty through in when you're 13. I mean, I think I did. No, I did when I was 15, maybe 14. Back when I was 13, I had a baby voice. I don't know. I privated the videos back when I was 13, but if you have seen my older videos before I privated them, you would know what I sounded like. But yeah, people would be doing all these weird ass things. Or if you get the lucky couple, or I don't even know if this is lucky, but people in relationships, they'll just be like, oh, I like you too, okay, we're dating now, and then proceed to go on no dates, do nothing together. I've been in these kind of relationships where you do just nothing. Especially in middle school, this happened, and it was just like, oh yeah, we're just gonna hang out at school, we're in a relationship, blah blah blah, and proceed to do nothing. The relationship that I'm in currently, we're not official, and we're already I've been on a couple dates with this woman already, and I've been making proper moves. I've been taking this maturely, and that's the greatest example of it, because we talk about our feelings, we discuss how we see each other, how we feel. We're not just weird, we're not going around talking to random people, Snapchat and all that stuff. I feel old saying Snapchat, but that's another thing, like how people in high school think, oh yeah, I pull mad bitches, bro. Like, my guy, you are 15. What? You are literally in grade 9 pulling bitches, bro? Man, these bitches are young as fuck, bro. Like, even if I were like, even like as an attractive male to women for some reason, which I don't really agree with, but apparently that's a thing. When people get attracted to me, I think it's odd. Like, I don't know, especially the way they act. Like, it's, come on, man. Like, do you know how to make small talk? There was a school dance on Thursday, and I went as a date with the girl that I'm going out with, and she goes off to dance with her friends. This girl comes up and says, "Hi, can I get your snap?" Sorry? What? Do you, like, huh? Is this really what you're going to do? Like, I'm pretty sure, if I can remember, she says, like, "Oh, you're kind of cute. Can I get your snap?" And I think to myself, like, is this seriously it? Like, and she was like, "Oh, I don't know if you have a girlfriend or something." I'm like, "Yeah, I do." And it just got awkward right there. But the the main message of that story there is just the fact that what like what do people's thought process go through when you see a cute guy or a cute girl? Is their process, oh, I'm gonna go up there and ask for their snap? Is that really the thought process? Why? You don't know what kind of person they are. You don't know their personality. You don't know anything about them. Why is your first thought, "Oh, I'm going to get their snap, bro"? Like, man, I'm still here chilling, being like, I might as well talk to this girl and then get some sort of contact information, whether it be her phone number, her Instagram, her Snap. I don't care. Whatever she uses, cool. But I would make small talk first. If I did not have a date at the dance, and for some reason I went to that dance without a date, which I would not have done anyway, but even if I did, and that girl came up and asked for my snap, I would have just stood there and looked at her in a blank expression, like, what are you doing? Like, there had been a time that people did that, but the thing is, I'll give you a great example of how to properly talk to somebody and ask for the snap right after. So, and don't worry, this is still linked to the topic because this has to do with teenager maturity and how it is declining. But back in Nova Scotia, I had went to see, I believe it was Infinity War with my friend Roger Hill. Yes, I just said his name, but who cares? But I had went to go see Infinity War, and the movie theater was like closed. I don't know, but the doors were locked for some reason, and we were waiting for it to open. And these three girls were also waiting to see a movie. And we started having conversation, we were chilling, and then eventually, like, if I can remember, two of them, I don't think all of them, but two of them asked for my snap. And I was like, all right, chill, they're pretty cool, I'll give them my snap. That's a great example. Have small talk first, then ask for some sort of contact information. That is it. Like, that's how you properly get into somebody's DMs. Like, have small talk first and understand who they are. They were pretty chill. I got into a relationship with one of them. I know, crazy. I dated one of them, and then obviously didn't work out very well because, weird. That's how that happens for me. But, in general, that's that's why it went well in the first impression, because they had small talk, they were chill. I'm still friends with some of them, like to this day I still talk to some of them, and yeah, they're chill. I like talking to people before I get their snap. And just for that time at the school dance, this girl and her friend walking up to me, which I forgot to say, her friend walked up with her, like, what? Them just saying, "Oh yeah, can I get your snap?" Sorry, who are you? And what? Like, I, I just kind of stood there with a buddy of mine while I was just thinking, like, so my date walks off for like 5 seconds and a girl immediately asks for my snap, and I'm thinking, like, man, why? Like, I just literally stood there stuttering, like, looking over to my buddy. I'm like, because I was genuinely surprised that somebody would jump to conclusions that much, and I was just like, yeah, girlfriend, yeah, like, it was so awkward. It got awkward as soon as they asked. I was just, no. But yeah, enough of that. We kind of got off track there for like the last 10 minutes. But yeah, that's how you properly talk to somebody that you find attractive. You have small talk with them. If I was that woman, I would have probably not went up and asked for the snap just immediately. I probably would just started having conversation somehow. Like, I don't know, if you knew somebody that was in that group, maybe just sort of inch your way into talking to me. So let's say they knew the buddy that I was with, then they could have went over there, made an excuse to come over, as in like talking to my buddy, and then being like, "Oh, hi, who are you?" Like, chilling. And then start talking, and eventually just being like, "Oh yeah, you're pretty chill. Can I have your snap?" A couple girls have done something like that, and I I don't want to say the names of the people, but it's happened twice to me where somebody actually has a conversation with me and goes, "Oh, you're pretty chill," and then gives me their snap. It's funny because it happened twice in my English class, and it was two different girls that sat in the same seat. It's so weird. Like, this one girl sits next to me, and we have a conversation. She gives me her snap, which I actually took because they were pretty chill. And then she stops sitting in that seat, and then another person starts sitting in that seat, does the exact same thing. It's funny. But yeah, like, that's what you're supposed to do. Like, come on, talk to the person you find attractive, not just be like, "Oh, they're attractive, boom." At least get to know how they are. But yeah, anyways, back to how teenagers are not maturing properly. So yeah, social issues. So yeah, transitioning to social issues. These are also caused by many things such as media, bullying, and even their household. So as I was saying, with especially being the Discord mod type people staying in their house and leading up to, or not even being Discord mod type people, just straight up not understanding social cues and being those weird people that ask for people's snap, jumping to conclusions, only thinking about looks. That has a link. So you have the two spectrums. You have the Discord mods who don't get out of house at all, or the people who go outside way too much but think that their life is some weird rom-com and that they can just only think about looks. And they just don't understand social cues, or they're just assholes in general. I'm not calling that girl that at the dance an asshole, because no, I don't blame you. I understand I'm attractive, but yeah, so the household, as I was saying, like that, their parents letting them stay inside and all that kind of stuff. That causes social issues. But yeah, like, social issues are just as much of an issue as anything else. Like, they're what stems from everything. So social issues, like having to do with general depression, has to do with all this type of stuff, because you get the antisocial type link, and like said, with the spectrum of antisocial being the completely antisocial, whether it be Discord mod, not knowing what grass feels like, and then just antisocial in the means of not understanding social cues, or not understanding people, being the kind of people that are like, oh yeah, what's your snap, when not having small talk. I wouldn't necessarily call them antisocial. It's just as weird as having APD, which is antisocial I think antisocial personality disorder, which is just being a psychopath. But that is not what I'm calling those people. I'm just saying that, antisocial, I'm just using as a huge vague word of just social issues. Like, I don't want to say social issues so much because it's such a long word, but having social issues. They're two spectrums. Anyways, enough of that. Why do I have to explain so much? Social issues cause children to either be extremely introverted or extremely extroverted. So I love how my script just said that, and I totally forgot that it was in there. But yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. So extremely introverted, Discord mod, or extremely extroverted, those kind of people that think their life is a rom-com. So like I was saying, like not knowing what grass feels like, or just not understanding how people think, and thinking that their fantasies in their mind is how life is going to act. So yeah, the extremely introverted people usually take to social media to hide, like Discord. No, but yeah, in some sense. That's, I'm assuming, what I mean by that in the script here. I don't really remember, but yeah, Discord is where extremely introverted people go, and that's where it causes that issue, because they get with people that are like them, and they don't understand that people are different, and then when they get out in the real life, that's not how that works. And extremely extroverted, in a way, prey on the introverted, bullying people especially. So I'm not saying that girl at the dance bullies people, but I'm just saying those people who are extroverted and don't understand social cues or whatever, those people are what I consider sort of popular clique type people. So that group are the people who are, popular on social media, and that's why they don't understand social cues, because they're more focused on, oh, people like me, and they're not used to people not liking them, or if they are used to it, they're used to them being defeated because they have a community in some way, or some sort of a base, a foundation of people who will defend them. So they, the extremely introverted and the extremely extroverted, they both have big egos, but in different ways. The introverted have big egos because they think that they have so much power online, and their voice has so much power, but in all reality, their opinion doesn't really matter. The extroverted people, they think they have so much power in destroying people in real life, rather than just destroying people's self-esteem. I mean, we're not going to talk about doxing and all that. The introverted people do, but extrovert people, they're more focused on their popularity on apps like Instagram and TikTok, and they are more focused on being that group. And before I finish that sentence, introverted people have started becoming part of this group, but the people that smoke and vape, that's what those extremely extroverted people have always been a group of, or a part of that group. But the introverted part have start becoming that, like, especially smoking weed, but they've started merging. Introverted and extroverted have been merging recently, so they've been working together, but I still don't think it's a good thing. So they're still two different spectrums, but they're now starting to become so alike in some sort of way. But yeah, both sides, however, still are involved in the same bad behaviors. Like I was saying with the whole bullying thing, the smoking and all that, the whole like big ego type stuff, and these social issues, obviously are linked to causing or are an effect of mental illness, which I guess I can talk about that maybe. But mental illness, yeah, we're gonna talk. Well, actually, I sort of mentioned it, having to do with depression and ADHD, any like anxiety disorder, even personality disorders. These are so common nowadays, especially depression, especially ADHD. These are so common because the internet is so dangerous to people younger. It's so dangerous because people like to bully people. For some reason, people bully, and this can cause depression in others. That getting personally attacked can hurt people. And then I've met a few people that have depression, and this changes them in a way that isn't like, and just to say, people with depression are not always those kind of people that are like, oh, I'm so sad, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes people with depression, they're not always sad. They just have low energy moments. And I don't know if I want to call this like mania or bipolar, because this can also link to that. But depression, especially, there can be like trolls, especially on the internet. There's trolls where they will attack other people because they have been attacked. So it's like a link. It's like a chain, right? That, they were attacked at a young age. They were bullied and all that. So now they bully others. And, it all goes back to patient zero, wherever the hell that came from. But the internet is so bad. It is such a good output for it that it's just so common. And depression is just so common now. ADHD, that's just having to do with that. Well, ADHD is a genetic thing mainly. Depression can be genetic, but depression can be developed a lot more easy now without being genetic. But ADHD is generally genetic, and I believe, or I don't know if it can develop over time, and it could be, but it could be the fact of what they're eating or their parents, whatever they do. But I believe that ADHD is very, very common, and it's not helping, because ADHD is causing these children to have like terrible focusing skills, whether it be lack of focus or copious amounts of focus on the worst things. This is not helping. And I'm not blaming the kids that have ADHD because they can't do anything about it. I am blaming their parents because they don't raise their children well, and no wonder they have ADHD. Or maybe it's a genetic thing and it traces back to their parents and blah, 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 blah. Who cares? But yeah, like depression and ADHD, those mainly, because I don't want to talk about anxiety and all that. That's a whole different thing. which link to depression in some sort of way. But yeah, like it's such a worse thing now, and parents don't really help, because there are parents who neglect, that hate their children, or are just so bad, and they're like alcoholics and type stuff, that don't really help. And I mean, antipersonal or antisocial personality disorder, APD, that being a sociopath or psychopath, is probably also common these days, due to the neglect and feeling like you can do whatever you want, all that stuff. That has to do with neglect, but like said, depression. That is the main common thing that I see so frequently, and children with depression, or children who think they have depression, because depression is so common that they want to fit in. They use the internet to get attention and to fuel that, which, it gets worse, because seeking attention and all that does not help. And the worst part is that these children who have depression and such like that don't want help. They don't want help. Because they're not used to getting help, or their parents don't bother helping. So when they have depression and they can't think for themselves in the means of like, oh, I need help, I should help myself, they just keep feeding it, and their parents feed it, and their friends feed it, that it just does not help, and it just gets worse. And I have friends that have depression, and they're online people, that they're Discord mod type people. They're that extremely introverted people, because that's the thing. The extremely introverted people are the ones that most commonly have depression, and the extremely extroverted are the ones that are more common to have things like APD, or slight slight APD. I wouldn't say they're sociopaths and psychopaths, but they have very sympathetic, or sympathy, like lack of sympathy and lack of empathy tendencies, in the means of acting like they can do whatever they want and all that type stuff. But at the same time, APD type symptoms are so common in introverted people, because the trolls and stuff. And that's why I'm saying that these two groups have sort of merged and started becoming the same thing, that they are starting to share so many things, like their behaviors, or even how they are, like what they do, how they think. They're becoming so similar, to the point where introverted and extroverted people, you can't differentiate them, really. The only way you can really differentiate them is just the amount of time that they go outside, because the introverted are always going to be the people who don't touch grass. The extroverted are the people who never touch clean drinking water. Like, you have, introverts don't really touch clean drinking water, because they only drink fucking soda, but you get what I'm saying. Like, they all, both groups smoke and vape and drink, and they also like don't understand social cues, and they get bullied, or they bully. Like it just not helps. And the introverted is, I don't know if I said this before, but the introverted is the product of the bad parenting, because it is their parents letting them do whatever they want. And you got that introverted group, which are commonly the obese people, who stay at home, play video games, make online friends, and never touch grass, and boom, you got it. And that's why these two groups are essentially the same, because it is within their nature to be those extremely extroverted people, because of the lack of discipline that their parents give them. And of course, there is that group, extremely extroverted, that has existed for so long, that children these days still fall into that group. And they do prey on the introverted. They bully them a lot more than the introverted bully on themselves, because you will barely see the introverted people bully on the extroverted people. But you got the predator versus prey, but the prey is the predator of the prey. It is just so fucking weird. But yeah, it's already been an hour and I've been rambling too long. So to conclude, children have a difficulty being taught how to act properly, as their parents usually have the lack of proper parenting. So, lack of maturity, having overconsumption of media, and social issues. All of these connect with how they are raised. Children cannot learn from their mistakes if they aren't facing the consequences. Like, they need to be punished. They need to be grounded and all that shit. They need to learn that, when they do something wrong, something bad will happen to them. Children cannot learn about real life if all they consume is media. So, like, having to do with Cocomelon and all that stuff. Like, if children just sit there and watch all that, that's not going to teach them anything, and it's just going to make them stupid. No wonder children are failing school so frequently. The person that I'm currently dating, they're smart, and they are probably one of the very few that have been raised well. But there are so many people that it's like an 80% of the population type issue that children are failing school, especially high school. Teenagers are failing school, and that's an issue. And it's mainly an issue because the extremely extroverted spend more time outside of school doing those bad behaviors that I spoke about, committing crimes or, smoking and all that. And then you have the extremely introverted who spend more time online, at home, not doing anything productive. So they're both failing. And then you'll have that gray area, the good area, I would say, that don't overconsume media, that don't lack the right amount of food, that consume the right amount of exercise, or I guess partake in the right amount of exercise. And that category involves me and my girlfriend. I still don't know what I'm going to label that woman, but the person I'm dating, me, a few friends of mine, like, we fall into that category because we understand that our future is more important to us, but we still like to dip into, having fun. So there are times where I will do fun things, but I'm not going to let that take me down. And I'm not saying that school is more important, because I'm saying mental health is even more important. This is why, like, my philosophy, especially, that my philosophy was made because I have good mental health and I understand respect. And the person I'm dating, they understand the same thing. And I am still amazed that they relate to me so much. And this is one reason why I like them so much. But respect is so important to me. And respect is not taught to children these days. And they think, oh yeah, they don't deserve respect because they respected me. Well, what? Like, if they don't deserve respect, and this is going to be, I'm not going to rant about this too much, but that's so common in children. It's like, this person did something wrong, whether it be something minor, and they're like, I'm going to fight them. What? Have your parents not taught you, like, I don't care if they're religious or not, but golden rule type stuff, like, if somebody does something wrong to you, that doesn't mean that you should treat them wrong, like, in a wrong way as well. It means that you should take that in a more mature way and act about it in a better manner. And obviously that other person who's treating you bad was probably also raised terribly, and they should also learn that you shouldn't treat people like shit either way. So yeah, um, with this, they like with all of that and about them, not learning how to treat people with respect and social issues, they can't build proper relationships that will last. And that goes back to what I was saying about people being in a relationship. So with me being in a relationship, it was so terrible because before I met this girl that I'm currently with, the people that I dated, they did not understand relationships in a mature way, and they more have thought about it as this person is responsible for taking care of me rather than this person and I are responsible for taking care of this relationship. So they more of use relationships in the means of this person's another person who is going to make this person, I can rely on this person, and that's the only reason why I'm dating them, or this, stimulating all these feelings. And it's less of, oh, I like this person, I genuinely have feelings for this person and I want to be with them. It's just more of like, oh, they're attractive, I can get stuff out of this, or like, all that type of stuff. The girl that I'm currently dating, who I'm never going to disclose the name of unless she is on the podcast, which she might actually. So I'm still not going to disclose her name yet. But she sees relationships in a better way, and I don't know if it's because she doesn't have much experience with it, because she has so much experience with guys being weird with her and treating women like they can just have them, because they have never been taught that there is an in-between, like there's a beginning to something. So guys just think, oh yeah, I can just like immediately start sexually flirting with a woman and start feeling them up. There is an insane gap between meeting somebody and then start doing those things. When I started talking to the person I'm currently dating, like when I got out of my relationship, at least, I did not start flirting with them. I didn't even tell them I liked them. It might have been a little obvious because of how I acted, which in the means of that, I was like blushing, or I was smiling when I looked at them. It was just obvious, but I never had flirted with them, especially in a sexual way, until it had been a good amount of time out of my relationship that I was like, oh, do you want to go out for lunch one day? And then we started minorly flirting. Now we flirt a lot more for a good reason, because we understand that we're far enough into our connection that we can flirt. Like we're not jumping and being like, oh yeah, we just met, boom, sexually flirting. No, I don't even sexually flirt with this person, and I'm not even going to reveal like at all what we talk about, because that is a personal thing. I am only disclosing how my relationship has progressed, because it is such an obvious thing. Like I don't sexualize the girl that I'm with. I don't sexualize her. I don't objectify her. And I believe that is the mature way to do things. And I believe that is the best way to go about relationships. And clearly people these days, especially teenagers, don't understand that. And I don't know why. I don't know if it's because of media. I don't know if it's because of their parents. I don't understand. And I don't know where it originated from, but I don't like how both men and women Like, teenagers especially take it. They don't just think, oh, maybe we should get to know each other. No. And that's where the whole thing with, oh, you're cute, can I get your snap? They didn't think of getting to know who I am or like what kind of person I am before getting my contact information and probably flirting with me later. They didn't think of the whole introduction part. But when it came to the person I'm dating, we went through a proper introduction. And even when I had developed, and this whole developing feelings thing wasn't immediate, and it wasn't immediate for them either. It was progressive, and I don't even remember, and I don't even think they even disclosed when they developed feelings for me, but it wasn't immediate for them, and it wasn't immediate for me because I was mature about it, and I didn't think, oh, they're attractive, boom, I didn't consider their looks. I considered the person that they are, and as I got to know them more when I went on dates with them, I got to know them more, and I started to, take more interest in them. Now I actually like them. Like, I like them a lot, and I genuinely have feelings for them, like pretty strong feelings. As it's been like 3 months by now. Like, it's been 3 months since I've been developing these feelings, and it's been inclining for a while. And I didn't let it incline so rapidly that it was immature and that it was like, oh, even though we're fucking still in high school, we're going to do all this type stuff, blah, blah, blah. And she didn't think of it either. She was still going about it slow. Like, even though we flirt, it's not like flirting in the means of like, weird stuff, like even in public, especially in public. It's so bad in public with what people do. It's like, I don't know why, but it's gross. And the things that especially guys talk about, why do you talk about weird things about, like, especially about your sex life and just general love life? People talk about it like it's common knowledge. No, not really. Like, this is why I'm trying not to disclose any information, because that's personal information, and I'm only disclosing general, like, how I act with the person that I'm with, rather than what I do, just general idea, general concept. I'm not saying like, oh yeah, we do this, we do that, we talk about this, we talk about that. I'm just saying we flirt, we like each other. It's more of a romantic connection rather than a lustful connection, which I believe lust, or whatever you want to call it, sexual connection, is so common now because people jump from it. And I don't think romantic connections are common anymore. That I think it's just like all about looks, and all about general sexual desires. And I'm not labeling anybody with it, and you might know who you are when I say it, but it doesn't make it any better if I'm talking about you. But yeah, that's generally what I want to talk about. It's already been an hour, and I gotta fucking edit this video up in a bit. So yeah, it was nice talking about this by myself. But yeah, I will be trying to record more podcast episodes in the future. I still got plenty of show episodes that I have to edit that haven't come out because my editor, well, I've never had an editor. It's kind of been me. That's why, because I've been working on the coffee thing. So I've been on a hiatus because business. So I'm going to try to get more videos edited, posted to the YouTube channel. But yeah, thanks for watching.